challenge. I'm new to keto. I'm new to prove it. And I'm really in a situation right now where I have a lot of spare time on my hands. So I just figured, why not video document my journey? So come along with me on this, what I'm sure will be crazy ride. It's just getting started.
Okay, so tonight I'm gonna try out a new recipe. It is keto bagels. And the base is the fathead dough, which I'm sure many of you who are following the ketogenic lifestyle have heard of. So for this recipe, it calls for 1.5 cups of almond flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, 2 ounces of cream cheese, 2.5 cups of mozzarella, and 2 large eggs, as well as a tablespoon of garlic. Now, I don't really follow directions. All of those measurements were more of like an ish for me. I just kind of like used the last bit of my mozzarella, used the last bit of my cream cheese. I did not use garlic because that just kind of turned me off. And then I added a little bit of butter. I don't know why, but some calling in my head was like, put in butter. So I did it. So I just put the ingredients in the microwave to melt the cheese and, well, the cheese is cream cheese, mozzarella. And I put it in for a minute, stirred it. Now that was the second time going off that you just heard. So I'm going to stir it really fast. Make sure everything is smooth, and then I will get to adding the other ingredients. Be back just a second. Okay, so really quick before my cheese and everything cools off, I'm gonna go ahead and dump in my dry ingredients, mix everything up together, and after I get the bagels formed and on the cookie sheet, I will show you what they look like, but I have to hurry because my dough is cooling off. Okay, so this is the almost finished product. Not much uniformity in their sizes, but whatever. I got it done. They are on the baking tray, and I'm gonna bake these off for about I think that said 20 to 25 minutes. I'll have to double check my recipe, and then I will take them out and show you what they look like. Just wanted to say before I forget, I misspoke. The bagels, the recipe calls for baking from 10 to 14 minutes. Obviously that, you know, varies by appliance, blah, blah, blah. About 15 minutes right now. I added another 2 minutes, so it'll probably end up being about 16 or 17 minutes total. One thing I can note, the dough is very sticky. The one thing that I was able to do to kind of make it a little bit more manageable while I kneaded it and shaped it into, you know, a bagel was coat my hands with coconut oil. And I just used just Walmart brand extra virgin coconut oil, nothing fancy. But again, I have never tried this recipe before, so I have like another minute before they come out of the oven. There they are. So I will be back, and if nothing else, I will let you know how they taste. Okay, well, I just took these bad boys out of the oven, and one thing I can say right off the bat is that they look like bagels. They are pretty aesthetically pleasing. There's a good bit of rebound here. Honestly, I felt like it could have probably baked a little longer, but because they were already browning on top, I just took it out and we're just gonna wing it. So I'm gonna let these cool. I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then they smell so good. I think I'm gonna try one tonight. So stay tuned. I'll let you know how they taste. Okay, so my bagels came out of the oven. They smell great. They look great. They look, well, they feel a little bit more dense than I would have expected, but that could be my fault just in the size that I rolled them, and the fact that, like I mentioned, I wasn't very precise with the ingredients. I had a little bit of an issue with the eggs. I dropped a couple eggs on the floor, and so I was like really trying to rush to replace the eggs and get them in the dough so it wouldn't cool off before I could get everything needed anyway. So for my first attempt, I'm not disappointed in how they look, how they smell. I'm gonna taste it. Here it is. Like, I already cut it in half, so I mean, it smells good. It looks like bread on the inside. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I mean, looks like regular bread, so I will just taste it plain and see how it is. Okay. It's not terrible. Some things I might do differently next time. Initially, I had decided against adding a little bit of salt because mozzarella is pretty salty cheese by itself. But if I did it over again, I would probably add a little dash of salt just to kind of cut down on the cheese taste. It's not like it's unbearable or it's even, you know, gross. It's just more like, it's different. I can taste the cheese. Something else I would do is I would have all of my ingredients ready. So when I take my bowl out of the microwave and mixing the cheeses, I would have my dry ingredients and the eggs ready because the dough or the cheese base to the dough cools off really quickly, and then it makes it difficult to mix in the dry ingredients. Oh gosh, I'm just getting crummies everywhere. So if I had to do that over, then I would just be really ready with everything right when I take it out of the microwave and the cream cheese is melted, the mozzarella is melted. So I would just be ready to dump everything else in the bowl and stir it up. But I think in order to get the best effect, excuse me, I would use a hand mixer or a stand mixer because it's not bad. I'm definitely going to eat all the bagels that I made, but it's a little bit gritty, and this is my first time using almond flour, so I don't know if it's just the texture of the almond flour. I don't know if it's because I wasn't exact with my measurements, which obviously would be my fault. I don't know. I just don't know. It was my first time making it, so obviously there's going to be a couple trial and errors. I definitely feel like this is a good starting point for the recipe, but definitely being able to use a mixer would probably make it a lot easier to incorporate the dry ingredients while the cheese is hot, as well as a more efficient job of incorporating the almond flour into the ingredients, so it's much more like smooth and less like gritty kind of tasting feeling. But overall, for being 2 to 3 net carbs per bagel, your girl is definitely gonna make these again. Like I said, in the future I will probably try to jazz it up with the flavor. I might get a little fancy and get me some of those sprinkles, you know, like sesame seeds or like everything bagels flavoring. But overall, I'm not upset. Like overall, it was a pretty good outcome. I would give myself, you know, B plus. It was pretty good. So thank you for tuning into my channel. I know I'm new. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions or any type of like recipes for a beginner, and I emphasize that to the fullest. I'm very much so a beginner, so I'm still learning a lot about keto. I'm still learning a lot, and I'm learning a lot. Like, this is just something that is new for me that I'm trying, and yeah, so like I said, I will be trying more recipes in the future. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.